Okay guys, welcome back to episode 4 of our ChatGPT game. Today we are going to go back onto this game and try and figure out how to solve the problem that we currently have with the ball, because it's not really bouncing off the platforms that how we want it to bounce off. So we're going to go back and try and fix that, and then we also, once we get that done, hopefully in this episode, we need to go and try and add in some sort of score indicator, because obviously you want some sort of score. But before we do that, we actually need to go and finish doing the input system, because that we ran into a problem because ChatGPT gave us a bit of a weird input system where it used a vertical 1 or vertical 2 depending on which input keys you use on your keyboard. So we're going to try and fix that in today's episode. Who knows how long that's going to take, but we'll try and do it and see where we go. So let's jump into it straight away. So here is where we left off, and currently if we play the game, you should be able to see that the ball does bounce, but it doesn't bounce the way we want it to. So let's go and fix that. So first of all, in our script, I'm going to go to our Pong ball script, and I'm going to make this a private, just because sometimes when it's public you change it in the script, but it doesn't change in the editor, and it actually uses the value that's in the editor rather. So we will change that, and I'm going to change this from 500 to about 5. Also, we're not going to be using ChatGPT to fix this ball because clearly it's not helping, so I'm going to go and fix it myself so that we can get past this and move on to the next thing. We'll use ChatGPT maybe for the UI and for the the score and stuff like that. Whatever's left, we'll try and use that. But for now, let us go and do something. So we are going to get rid of this because we don't need this in the update method, because that is where we are having our problem. Rather, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our start method here, and whenever the game starts, we are going to go and apply some sort of force to the ball in a random direction, and then from there it's just going to bounce until it gets destroyed out of the scene. When the ball eventually goes out of bounds and it hits goes beyond the player's paddle, and then your opponent will get the point. So let's go and do this. So here we need to go and generate 2 random values, one for the x-axis and one for the y-axis. So let's go and do that. So let's here in our start method here, let's go and say float x. We'll start with x. We'll say float x is going to be equal to a random dot range, and we want this random number to be between 0 and 1. So we will go and say between 0 and 2. So give me a random number between 0 and 2. Hopefully that gives us 0 and 1, if that makes sense. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shorten this. Instead of putting a whole if statement, we're going to go and say if the number is equal to 0, so if it generates a number that's equal to 0, let's go and assign the number -1. So it's going to go to the left, if that makes sense. The balls are going to move from the origin, which I think is in the middle of the screen. Yeah, it's from, well, we'll put it in the middle. So let's go and just set this to 0 when this loads, just so that I can demonstrate what I'm talking about. So if we set this to 0, you'll see that it pops into the middle of the screen. Okay, so now if we get a random number on the x-axis that is -1, the ball will move. Why does it have to load? The ball's going to move in this direction. Starting from here, it's going to move from right to left. So that's what we want to do. But if the ball is not equal to 0, then we want to go and assign it a 1. So that means it's going to move in the other direction from left to right. So it's going to move from here towards this player. So we are pretty much going to do the exact same thing for the y value, and after that we need to go and apply this. So we're going to go and times this value by our force, which is going to be 5. So technically our force is always going to be 5, but it's either going to be -5 or +5. So we can go and do this by saying we should have a rigid body. Yeah, we do. Rigid body dot velocity is going to be equal to a new vector 2, And then here we can go and apply our ball force times the new x value that we just created, and then the same thing we're going to do for the y. So ball force times y. So that should give us the correct movement for our ball, hopefully. Hopefully that works, and then we don't have to rely on ChatGPT to generate that, because clearly that was not working. So let's go play the game and see if this works. So okay, so it kind of, let's move the ball into the middle quick, just so that we can see it bounce off of the top wall or the bottom wall, depending on which way it okay, there we go. So obviously now, because we haven't set up the game properly, we can't do anything about that, so ignore that. It's floating away until it hits something, but it's not going to hit anything, so it's just going to float away. But for now, that's working much better, because it is actually bouncing off of the wall how we wanted to. And if you don't remember, we did put a bottom game object here, empty game object, that it has a box collide on it, and the same thing for the top wall. So we will eventually, actually let's go do that now. So let's go and we'll create another empty object here, and we'll say this is a goal, right, or let's just put right goal. So that's going to be our right goal, and then I'm going to add another box collider on that, 2D. Then we can go and edit it and make it the full length or full width of the screen. That can be moved up here, and then we want to do the same thing, copy and paste that, and make this this is going to be called left goal, because we're going to put this on the left. So this one is at -8, so let's go and make this at -9, and then we can just actually, let's see, -8, yeah, we'll put it at -8, and then the right one we will put at 8. Okay, well, this one we'll put at 8.5. Cool. So it doesn't really matter where it is because you can't see it, but that is, these two goals here are going to be the thing that triggers the ball to get destroyed and respawn it into the game from the middle again, so that the game can continue. So on our goal, we are going to go and create a new tag, and in this tag here, let's go and say goal. So on both of our goals, we can go and add this tag now, and whenever our ball, which should have a ball tag on, let's just put it on just in case we need it. Let's put that on there. So whenever our ball collides with this this game object, the empty one that we just added as our two goals, it should get destroyed. So let's go and do that now quickly. So let's create a new script in our script folder here and call this goal. But we are going to go into ChatGPT and see if it can generate this code for us. So what we want to do here is say, write me a C# script for a goal. Actually, let's say C# script called goal that destroys a ball game object in my Unity 2D game when it collides with the goal. Oh, I didn't spell goal properly, but we'll see if that works. Here is a C# script that you can attach to your goal game object in your Unity 2D game to destroy a ball game object when they collide. Okay, on trigger, enter. Okay, that's correct. So what we're going to do is we are simply going to copy that and go and paste that into our script. So let's open up our goal script here. We shouldn't need to worry about anything. We can simply paste that in. The only thing we have to do that the ChatGPT can't do is on our goals, we need to go and tick is triggered, I think it is. we also might need to add something on here. So actually we don't think we need to. So because we've got our box colliders here, all we have to do on both of the goals is go and check the is triggered checkbox. So we'll do that, and then let's play the game and see if anything happens. So no, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't, because why would it work? So on our goals, let's have a look and see. Did we save it? Yeah, we did. So over here, let's see, are our tags all the same? So we might need to, if other.gameObject.tag is equal to all, destroy other.gameObject. Okay, so let's go and see in our project here, do we have the correct tag on it? So ball, yeah, we do. Now let's see what we can do. What I'm going to do in here is I'm going to say debug.log. Let's say ball destroyed. This needs to be a what's called a string. So let's go and do that. Like that, save that, and then we can play the game again and see if it works. So let's see, on our ball, do we have a rigid body? We do. Okay, let's see, we might have to check is triggered on there as well, but let's go play the game now and see what happens. So we should get something printed out, which we don't. I'm just going to go on our ball. I'm going to go and tick is triggered. Maybe we need that. I don't really know. I don't think you need both of them, but let's see. Okay, so you can't do that because otherwise it will go straight through the what's called, straight through the, what's that thing called, the top barrier, whatever, I can't remember what it's called. Let's see, this script makes use of the onTrigger enter 2D method, which is called whenever a 2D collider enters the trigger collider attached to the same game object. In this case, it checks if the collider that entered the trigger has a ball tag, and if so, destroys the ball game object. So for this, I'm going to say rewrite the script so that it uses on collision enter 2D method. Let's see what that gives us. So here's a C# script that you can attach to the goal. It's going to say the same thing. So we will copy this code and paste it in to here and see if that works. Save that, and hopefully we might have to uncheck the is triggered, but let's go and wait for this to load and then we can play the game. So I'm not going to uncheck that now yet. Let's see. Okay, so our ball is still there, so that clearly didn't work, but let's go and untick that is triggered on there and then play the game again, and then we can see. Okay, so it is colliding with that, but it's clearly not destroying it. Let's see. Let's go in here and say debug.log. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it back to the onTrigger because that is clearly the correct one. We are supposed to use that. So let's paste that in there and save that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to Google it myself. So let's go and say Unity on trigger enter 2D not working. I've had this problem before, but I can't remember what it was. So After hours of testing, I finally got it to work. Here is how. First, you need one of the two objects to contain a 2D rigid body, which I think the ball does have one on it. The goal doesn't. The ball does, I believe. When this eventually loads, let's go and see what else. Okay. Rigid body container 2. Okay. I was already doing. It still didn't work. In my game, I'm a bird, so I didn't want gravity to affect the player, so I had to set the kinematic to true. Cause the object to ignore collision events, so I just set the gravity scale to the object to 0 and made the object dynamic. Hope this helps someone. In my case, it was the most stupid one, I guess. Sorry, a newbie in computer science, I guess. I think that's what it is. And also was following a poor quality video tutorial. I hope I had a typo mistake, made it on. Okay, so clearly those are very helpful. So let's go onto our ball and try and do this. So on our ball, let's go and where is it? Invert, no. What am I looking for? I can't remember what I'm looking for. Contacts, no, that's not what I want. Invert, nope, that's not what I want. Let's play the game and see what happens. Okay, so we still bounce on there. Color changed. Did we save it? We did save it. So why is that still picking up the collision? Shouldn't be. I don't think. Oh, let's see. Goal is triggered and left one is also triggered. So let's play that now. It shouldn't pick up that it collides with it. It should just go straight through it. But clearly it's not registering it that it is triggered. So here is another issue that we need to try and solve. There are four things. The two objects colliders need to actually be overlapping. Just because their rendered pixels are overlapping doesn't mean the colliders are overlapping. Okay, the two objects need to be in physics layer, which are set to collider with each other. You can edit. Oh yeah, that's why. Edit settings. We need to check the matrix thing. So let's go onto that and see if they are allowed to collide with each other. So file, build settings, I think it is. Wherever that comes to. Build settings, physics 2D. Player settings, physics 2D. Layer collision matrix. Okay, so UI. What does our ball have on it? Ball is a. Let's go add a layer and we'll call this one ball. So we'll put that on to there. And then our goals, we will add another one and call that a goal. So add those onto there. Add those onto there. Now we should be able to see if they are allowed to collide. So physics 2D. So here our ball can collide with our goal. What? That's probably why, because I don't think they don't match up. Interesting. Let's go and change it again. I hate that this is beginning to get slow again. Might need to clear some stuff on my computer. But that is clearly not the problem. Both objects need to have rigid body 2D components attached. That's probably why. and the object which contains the on-trigger entity needs to be triggered. Okay, so let's go and do that and see if that works. So the goal is the one that needs to be checked as a is triggered. So we need to go and check that box, and then eventually when this decides to work, we can go and add a rigid body onto the goals, because that's probably and hopefully is the problem. But clearly this is not working, so what we will do is we will call it an episode over here, and we will continue in the next episode so that we can, or at least I can, go and fix this and make sure it works properly. So we'll do that in the next episode, and once we've got that done, we will go and start working on the input of the paddles so that we can get them to move up and down independently, and you can play 2 players. And then once that's done, we should be able to move on to the score and the UI of the game. So that is that's pretty much it for today's episode. So thank you again for watching. If you made this far, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so you don't forget to, or you don't miss out on these episodes rather. And I will see you in next episode, which should be on Monday. But enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.